Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining the session today. We'll give just a few more moments for people to join in and we'll get started. Okay, yeah, we've got a few folks continuing to join, but we'll go ahead and kick off. Again, thank you so much for joining our session today. ETQ Connected Worker solution powered by Augmentir. I'm Angela Anderson, and I'm thrilled to have Chris Kuntz, Head of Marketing for Augmentir, with me here today to introduce you to the ETQ Augmentir partnership and what this all could mean for advancing your quality program, not only your quality program, but your organization's digital transformation at large. So the audience we plan for today is geared towards ETQ customers. So we're kind of presuming folks have familiarity with ETQ, and we'll really be focused on getting you introduced to Augmentir and Connected Worker and this integrated solution. So if you're, if our quality champions have brought along a friend today and you're not too familiar with all that ETQ does, we have lots of other content out there to check out. So if you want to learn more there, and happy to follow up and talk more with you. But just giving you a quick rundown on the agenda today. We're gonna kind of build the case, why this integration. Chris is gonna walk you through a lot of information about Augmentir and all the capabilities at hand there. We're going to walk you through the primary use case that we have for our integration today, and maybe some of what those future use cases might look like. We have some customer success to share with you, folks who have this integrated solution and some of the successes they've seen. And then we'll wrap it up and certainly have time for Q&A. So as always, all registrants will receive a link to this recording. This is being recorded, so also be sure to use that GoToWebinar panel to ask questions or just share your thoughts during the presentation. Like I said, we'll have a session or a block of time at the end for that Q&A. So look forward to hearing your questions and comments as we go along. And just wanted to kick things off with a couple of poll questions, just to get a sense of where you guys are at when it comes to Connected Worker. So I'm going to ask Liz here to go ahead and launch the first one. And you should see a little window pop up on your screen. So how has your organization, considered my goodness, I'm going to try that one more time. Has your organization considered Connected Worker technology? Answer one, yes, but nothing deployed yet. Yes, already have a solution implemented. Maybe you're curious about what other options are on the market, and that's why you're here today. Answer three is no, and answer four is not sure. So I'll just give you guys a few more seconds to put your responses in, and then we'll see what we've got. This one's a pretty easy one. Okay, thank you so much, Liz. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so 44, because I think for the recording, this may not display, so we'll just kind of run through. So yes, but nothing deployed. Clear winner here, 44%. 29% are not sure if your organization is considered Connected Worker technology. 15% no, and 13% yes, already have a solution implemented. Interesting. Any comment, Chris? Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Definitely interesting. Yeah, no, sorry, I was on mute. Definitely interesting and good to see that companies are at least considering it. Deployment is always a journey in many ways, but definitely good to see that. And let's hope we can convince some of those not sures and knows over to see the value of this integrated Connected Worker solution.
Yeah, Great. Okay, we have one more question for you guys. So Liz, if you will, thank you very much. Okay, so question number 2. Oh, let me advance my slide as well, just in case. All right, so for the quality management teams out there, how good or how would you rate your visibility into quality control today? A is non-existent, B, some communication, C, good communication, but would prefer more. We always want more communication, right? And D, very collaborative and proactive. It's a well-oiled machine. All right, so I'll give you guys a few moments to participate on this one. Got some answers rolling in. Still a few more participating here. Interesting. All right, thank you, Liz. That's good news. 51%, good communication but would prefer more. Yeah, it's always the biggest challenge, is just good communication. Hopefully, folks with non-existent, we can help you out today. And interesting to hear the secret sauce for those folks who are very collaborative and proactive. Okay, shall we move along? I don't know if you had any comment, Chris, on that one.
No, kind of what I was expecting there, but yeah, I think there's always opportunity to improve collaboration, certainly with the shop floor workers. So we can talk more about that as we get into this.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. All right, so I just wanted to kind of set the stage here. I use this image quite a bit when I talk to folks about ETQ, and it illustrates the fact that quality management touches all phases of the product lifecycle. So obviously, bringing quality products to market requires you to ensure that those quality standards are met at every stage across your enterprise, across all your sites, from design and manufacturing to supply chain, shipping, customer support. ETQ Reliance kind of gives you that platform, as you know, to manage those global processes and apply automations to this complex interdependent system. With Connected Worker, ETQ is kind of extending quality management deeper into this manufacturing operation space, to engage and empower the frontline workforce to help drive productivity, improvements in safety and quality, and so much more, as you're going to hear coming up, as Chris introduces Augmentir. So kind of the underlying situation that we're addressing here, frontline manufacturing workers, they see opportunities every day to reduce risk, improve quality. They're like the human sensor, if you will, that witnesses issues, and but often this valuable information that they have kind of goes to waste. So operators may adjust to keep production running, but may not have the tools and processes to report issues for a proper root cause analysis or full resolution and prevention. So because of that, as the quality manager, head of quality, you may feel a little out of the loop. And it seems like our audience today maybe has made strides in that space for communication and having good communication with quality control in the shop floor. But you may feel a little out of the loop when there's, if there is an opportunity for improvement. And we all know that the further along a quality issue slips through that product life cycle, the more expensive it is to address in time, materials, customer satisfaction, et cetera. So what if you could automatically be in the loop when quality events surface on the shop floor? As we know, kind of historically, quality control, quality management can kind of be siloed in many organizations. And what if you could be more in the loop to extend that reach, using mobile technology to augment that communication and have that direct line of communication with the front line, allowing you to act much more quickly to contain and resolve quality issues, sharing that timely root cause information, not just within that site, but across sites, across teams, across shifts, and having that capability to automate that administrative part of notifications and keeping people in the loop, and ultimately reducing downtime and cost of poor quality. And I think probably most importantly, and something I know Chris is going to talk a lot more about, but giving that voice to the shop floor, that engagement and empowerment of the shop floor worker. And so, yeah, no secret at this point, we've partnered with Augmentir, and they are the leading connected worker solution in the market to kind of go after this challenge and create this unique digital collaborative workflow between our two systems. And that's going to give your frontline workforce a voice, like I say, in improving quality, safety, productivity, gives you, the quality manager, head of quality, some compelling new ways to tackle cost of poor quality and achieve your corporate quality objectives. And then, as you'll hear from Chris, this integrated solution goes well beyond kind of creating that line of defense to stop product quality issues from reaching customers. Augmentir has a smart AI-powered training and skills management capability that's really slick, and allows you to intelligently onboard, train, guide, and support frontline workers. So each worker can contribute at their individual best. So some really cool technology. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Chris to tell you more about it. And let me give you presentation control. And how's that working for you, Chris? Oh no. I swear this worked in our test.
It'll work. Hold on a second here. Your screen keeps changing on me.
I see your cursor, so I think you're getting closer.
Why don't I just have you advance the slides, because I don't know what's going on here. Sorry about that, everyone.
All right.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, again, I'll just have you advance, Angela.
Okay.
Again, sorry about that. Again, my name is Chris Kuntz, head of marketing here at Augmentir. Happy to be here, happy to be participating in this conversation. What I want to do is get started with a little bit of background on our company. And Angela, if you just want to go forward one slide. I think it's relevant for the discussion here. Augmentir is a relatively young company in the connected worker space, founded in 2018. But there's really two key points I think I'd like to make here. One is we've been recognized across the board by most of the analysts that cover the connected worker and connected frontline technology space as the leading vendor in the connected worker space. So Gartner, Frost & Sullivan, LNS Research just came out with their own version of sort of like a magic quadrant, their solution selection matrix for connected worker, connected frontline worker technologies. And we were in the leader category there, and as well as CB Insights. So we're really proud of that, but that's really just a reflection of our customers and the value that we're bringing, to our customers at the end of the day. And then secondly, I think it's important, again, even though we're a relatively young company in the connected worker space, our founding team has been building innovative software in the manufacturing sector dating back to the late 1980s. So if you look at Augmentir's founders, Phil Huber, who's our current head of product, he co-founded Wonderware in 1987. That's still considered one of the top factory automation software packages today, sold under the Aviva brand, still in use today, however, 35, however many years later. Russ Fidel co-founded Lighthammer Software and revolutionized the manufacturing intelligence software space in the late 1990s. That was acquired by SAP and is part of SAP's manufacturing intelligence offering, which is in think 85 to 90% of SAP deployments globally. And then most of the leadership team at Augmentir here, we were part of the early founding and leadership team at ThingWorx, which revolutionized the industrial IoT space. And PTC has since done fantastic things with that product and integrating into that portfolio of products. So the same team that's been involved in a lot of those innovative solutions is now bringing Augmentir to the market. We have customers in over 70 countries, so very global company today. Next slide, Angela. And so just to pick up on where Angela left off, your frontline workers are essentially human sensors on the shop floor. Every day they witness quality or maintenance or safety issues. Yet today the workers are extremely disconnected from quality systems like ETQ. If they're involved in raising a quality incident or involved in the resolution of that, it's very manual, it's very paper-based. They're tracking people down, and that always results in increased downtime or increased product that's coming out the line with potential quality defects. So next slide. And so these disconnected manual processes, if we could connect these workers, there's a huge impact and a great impact on quality. So with a connected workforce, having the ability to resolve quality issues witnessed right when they're happening before down the line, being able to collaborate to resolve potential supplier quality issues, being able to resolve a safety incident, for example, witnessed during a shift, or being able to resolve quality issues that might happen when a line operator is doing autonomous maintenance routines like cleaning, inspecting, and lubricating machines. And then being able to share timely insights with the team across the value chain to support continuous improvement. A lot of this collaboration that some of you are doing today could always do better. This connected worker solution really allows those shop floor workers to be part of that collaborative conversation. And so when we talk about connecting these workers, it's not just about giving them a mobile device, a phone, a tablet. We have to understand that today's workforce is different than any workforce in the past. They're highly variable. The turnover rates are increasing. The average tenure rate is down significantly. There's a hiring challenge, as many of you probably know. Companies are increasingly unable to find skilled workers to fill their needs, and so they're looking at hiring less skilled workers. Then the burden becomes on training and HR and training programs to help get those workers competent and skilled and productive faster. So there's a massive skilled labor gap. And actually, and if you just go ahead one slide, Angela, actually, there's a great stat from the Chamber of Commerce that just came out. I think it was in August. It kind of highlights just how bad this is. So this one's specifically in the durable goods manufacturing space. And their survey came back with, even if every unemployed person with experience and skill in durable goods manufacturing were employed, the industry would still fill only 75% of the vacant jobs. And so there would still be a 25% job shortage in the market, even if everyone that was available was filled. So it's a significant problem. We hear it from our customers all the time. Every day, every shift, they are operating at 25, 30% less people, and they still are required, obviously, to meet quality, safety, and production goals with that less staff. So how do you do more with less?
Yeah, the bar never lowers, right?
Exactly, right. And next slide. And so it's not just connecting the workers, it's how can you effectively support them through their entire employment journey. They're forced to do more with less, and so can you make onboarding 5 times more efficient? Can you successfully train or upskill or support workers in the flow of work with a 5 times less experienced workforce? And then can you meet quality and as I mentioned, quality production, safety goals, those requirements with essentially 20-25% less staff? And we think the answer lies in the augmented connected worker. And what I want to do in the next few slides is kind of walk through what that means, what it is, and what are the main components of it. And so, Angela, this is a build, so of course we're going to have to dance around here a little bit. But what do we mean by the connected worker? there's various definitions out there. There's definitions where people talk about, oh, a connected worker is just giving them a phone or a tablet so they can be connected, digitally connected, and delivering, static digital checklists or quality inspection forms on their phone or tablet. We think it's a little bit more than that. And we think it is something that needs to support the worker throughout the entire employee life cycle. And that starts with onboarding and training. So being able to digitize and automate onboarding and training procedures and processes to help get workers skilled and operational faster, and deal with the rapidly churning workforce. So if a workforce is turning over quite rapidly, you can't rely on the traditional means of onboarding and training because they just don't work for that shorter tenure rates. And then one more build, then once on the job, how do you take those workers and support them once they're on the job? And so how do you deliver guidance that is actually tailored to that worker, to their individual needs, to their individual skill sets required? I'm going to give some examples of this as we go along. And then one more build, when workers need to collaborate in real time to solve a problem, or when they need to troubleshoot a problem that's happening on the shop floor, how do you do that effectively? What tools can you put in place to effectively do troubleshooting while they're on the job? And then finally, sort of closing the loop on this, how do you take all that information now that you have a digitally connected workforce? How can you take the data from those workers, the work that they're doing, how well they're doing, what they're skilled in, what they're not skilled in, and how can you use that to inform and drive upskilling, reskilling, and training programs? And this entire process, throughout the entire life cycle of the connected worker, can be optimized through the use of artificial intelligence. And so in each aspect of this, and sorry again, Angela, this is 4 builds here that you can just kind of fly through here. Each aspect of this process can be optimized and augmented with the use of artificial intelligence. And what I'll do is I'll kind of talk through some examples of how that works in each of these scenarios, and then how that ties back into improving overall quality, within your operation. And then next slide, what does this mean for quality? Kind of going back to the concept of ETQ. So with a connected workforce, this allows you to digitize a lot of your quality procedures, quality processes, as well as safety and maintenance processes. It allows those workers to capture and provide real-time data on shop floor activities that are happening, and allows that to be bidirectionally synchronized with systems, and from a quality standpoint, ETQ. And this gives you a closed loop quality management system which connects the shop floor to the top floor from a quality standpoint. And then now we're going to dive a little bit deeper, and I want to actually talk about how these artificial intelligence-based technologies are empowering workers today, how they're being personalized to help them specifically with their individual guidance and support, and how it's transforming quality. And so let's start by kind of talking about digitizing quality data collection. And here's just an example of one of our customers taking a paper-based form that was inspecting fruit cups, the seal of a fruit cup as they're coming off a line, inspecting that. What they did with Augmentir is they were able to take that paper-based form and turn it into a digital smart form on a procedure on a mobile device, where they could collect that data coming back, and then if there was any variance in or problem in quality after that inspection, be able to automatically import a quality incident into ETQ. And we'll kind of walk through that workflow a few slides later here. But being able to digitize quality data collection, it helps optimize frontline processes, replace manual data collection with digital smart forms, and it allows for this bidirectional integration with systems like ETQ. And then, as we talked about, next slide, it's not enough to kind of, simply digitize checklists and give them to workers on, mobile devices. With the workforce challenges that we have and the variability in the workforce, your connected worker system really needs to also understand the skill set of your workers, understand the capabilities and competencies of your workers, and then use that to drive how those workers are being delivered those instructions and how they're being delivered ongoing guidance and support. There's a huge impact on training, being able to reduce onboarding time, and then being able to inform, potential reskilling or upskilling programs, being able to have a digital skills inventory of your workers as they're doing their jobs on the shop floor. We work with dozens of manufacturers who routinely, they come to us, and this information is being stored in spreadsheets today that are tucked away in some HR system. And so for a shift supervisor or an operations manager that's responsible for assigning work to people, or potentially, and we'll get into this, if you are looking at resolving a quality issue that might be happening and there's a configuration change that has to be done to a machine, how do you know that that worker, whoever's being delivered those work instructions, how do you know that they're actually skilled and competent enough to deliver those work instructions if you don't know, do they have a safety certification that expired, the previous day or the previous week? Impossible to do that in a static spreadsheet. And so this brings all that skills tracking, all that real-time skills inventory right down into the point of work, right down into the shop floor. Next slide. And then when you do that, it really gives you the ability to connect skills, connect what a worker knows with the work being done. So being able to assign work to employees with the required skill level, which helps improve safety compliance, helps improve equipment uptime. There's less errors, there's less human error in the operational setting, and then being able to digitally prevent unqualified workers from executing tasks potentially, which is very, very important in some industries, some manufacturing verticals. And then in the next couple of slides here, I want to give you an example of taking this into action and being able to personalize support and guidance once workers are on the job. With a connected workforce, we can capture valuable data on what a worker knows and how they've been performing. And with a connected worker system like this, we can understand workers at an individual level and provide personalized guidance. So here's kind of a simple example. If you build just the top section of this slide, Angela, let's take an expert worker. They've been doing this job. Maybe it's operating a machine or doing a reconfiguration, recalibration on a machine. There's a standard workflow, a standard procedure that worker has to go through to complete that task. And if you notice here on the left side of this kind of workflow diagram, they may get a streamlined view of those work instructions. In comparison, if you look at a novice worker, if you do another couple builds, they may have to follow the same procedure, but they get a more detailed view of what's going on, a little bit more detailed instruction. Maybe they're required to watch a micro-learning video at step 1 before they open the back panel to do a recalibration on a particular machine. Or maybe, at step 3, they're required to have a supervisor inspect their work and do a sign-off. So this dynamic ability to personalize work instructions and personalize guidance based on who that worker is as an individual really helps to drive efficiencies, helps to reduce human error, and it helps to get this highly variable workforce that exists today productive and helps them all operating at their personal best. And then, we had, next slide, we had a poll question earlier around, collaboration. And I spoke earlier about supporting workers in the flow of work. With Augmentir, Connected Worker solution, collaboration is a big aspect of this solution, and it has a huge impact on quality. So if there needs to be collaboration, instead of requiring someone to come over, or even just collaboration between shifts, being able to virtually connect with remote or subject matter experts, being able to share images, being able to share documents, live video recordings, attach notes to jobs, having a sort of a comprehensive view of what's going on a particular line or a particular asset. It helps to support those workers in the flow of work and then give them context into the work that's being performed and any sort of ad hoc tribal knowledge information that may be needed in order to prevent quality issues or safety issues from happening as that production continues and as organizations go from shift to shift. And then finally, and certainly, one of the more important aspects of this, yep, you can go ahead there, Angela. From a continuous improvement standpoint is when we talked about workers that are connected, being able to capture information on how those workers are performing their job. A connected worker system that's built on top of an AI first platform like Augmentir, it allows you to really personalize the workforce development investments made by your organization. So being able to understand the proficiency of each worker and what they're doing. In this particular example here, this worker has been doing the job for a while. They've run this job for a while, but their performance is not where it needs to be based on a benchmark. And so this is an opportunity for potential training, to get that worker to be able to allow that worker to do the best of their abilities. It can also identify gaps in training content or gaps in procedural content and say, hey, here's an opportunity to improve training content, or measure the effectiveness of training programs if it's on a particular new line or a new piece of equipment that's being rolled out into a factory. And then, so we talked about connecting the shop floor and connecting quality systems. Connected worker solutions like this really have an organizational-wide impact that goes far beyond quality. And so Angela, there's just several builds on this slide, of course, that we can go through. We talked about quality. Obviously, huge impact on improvement in quality to have a closed-loop quality system where Augmentir is integrated bidirectionally into ETQ. Dramatic improvements in first pass yield, defect rate, obviously improves in customer satisfaction at the end of the day, reduction in product complaints. We're seeing this across the board from our customers, but it expands beyond this. So next area is safety. And this is also an aspect that ties in well with a lot of the capabilities that ETQ offers, but being able to improve safety and then digitize safety incident reporting and near miss reporting, a lot of things that are critical for many organizations done via paper today, being able to digitize that and ensure that safety standards are being met and incidents are being reduced. And then next slide, or next segment here.
I think there's
From
a delay
when yeah, probably. No matter how much we test this, it'll still happen. So being able to improve the quality, the transparency, and the efficiency of both preventative maintenance procedures as well as autonomous maintenance that might be conducted by like a line operator, for example. This has huge impact on quality as well as a huge impact on downtime. We've seen with many of our customers up to a 27% reduction in downtime by implementing a connected worker system, being able to reduce some of the dependencies on skilled maintenance technicians, being able to put a lot of the power into the hands of the line operators to do simple autonomous maintenance routines like cleaning, inspecting, lubricating, for example, and doing that in the way that minimizes downtime. And then from an operations standpoint, you just go to the next one there, being able to, as I talked about, give line operators more control over the uptime of their machines, which helps not only reflected in downtime, but helps improve productivity as well. And then finally, the last area from an organizational standpoint is around workforce development and training. We've seen significant improvements with reduction in new hire onboarding time. If you think about many of our organizations, companies that we work with will talk about, well, it's 3 months to onboard a new worker. What if they're leaving in a year? That 3 months is that's not going to work anymore. So the traditional ways of onboarding, training just doesn't work for today's more dynamic workforce. Training needs to be reimagined, and more of the training and learning needs to happen in the flow of work, closer to the production line, and having the ability to infuse training in the flow of work, training into work procedures for more novice workers is an excellent way to do that, and an excellent way to impact that. So as you take this information away and share it with the rest of your organization, those are some of the areas within your organization I think will be interesting to bring to the table and say, how can we use connected worker technology within our organization? It's not just from a quality standpoint, it's really has an organizational-wide impact. And then, finally, this is kind of a closing point here that I'd like to make on the value of a connected worker solution. We talked about a lot of metrics right there. We talked about how it adds value from a quality, safety, operations, maintenance, and workforce development standpoint. There's a lot of value for the worker itself. There are countless statistics out there on workers that feel like they can impact a process, impact process improvement, or provide value throughout their day. If they are more engaged in the value that they're creating for the organization, if they're more engaged in providing resolution to a quality incident, for example, more engaged workers are going to churn less. They're going to stick around longer. That's been proving out. And so this allows them to be more engaged and be an active participant in the continuous improvement of their organizations. And you can just build the next two there. In addition to that, it's a workforce that has more visibility, more insight, and more control over their career path. And so they can see from a skills progression standpoint what they need to do to get to the next level, what they need to do to advance their careers, gives them career path opportunities, and overall just creates a more empowered workforce where they every day can go in and perform at their personal best. And connected worker technology just sits central to everything around the worker. We're seeing some really interesting stories from our customers where they're using this for badging and rewards. For example, if a frontline worker is detecting a potential safety issue or a potential quality incident, and it's resulted in product or cost savings, or resulted in potential near miss reporting from a safety standpoint, being able to give badging or some level of rewards to those workers to kind of show a reflection of the value that they're seeing there. So a lot of our customers are doing some interesting things, almost like gamification to this system, where workers are really truly part of the continuous improvement of the organization. Okay, next slide. I think that might wrap up the Augmentir section. I think now we just have a few slides that kind of talk to the specific integration use case between Augmentir and ETQ, and then we'll talk a little bit about a couple of example customers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris, for giving that great introduction to Augmentir, and hopefully folks can kind of start, absorbing, kind of internalizing the scope of the possibility of having connected worker technology deployed, and a simple but I think pretty powerful integration use case with ETQ. So yeah, shall we kind of step through this one and let folks know how this might look in an actual use case?
Yep. Yeah, and I can kind of get started on the Augmentir side. So what's been interesting is our teams have gotten together and identified, and with customers as well, and have identified dozens of potential use cases here. This is kind of the simple, first example of a use case, but it gives just a clear end-to-end picture of what's actually going on, what are the handoff points between the systems as they happen today. So in this particular example, it's resolving a quality issue identified on the shop floor. So you have a worker, maybe it's a line operator, they're connected using a mobile device, a tablet with Augmentir, the Augmentir application running on that mobile device, and they observe a quality issue in the course of doing an autonomous maintenance routine, which might be a cleaning or an inspection or a lubrication on a particular piece of equipment. So in this example, the foil lids on the fruit cups that are being produced aren't sealing correctly. So they're doing a cleaning, and they notice the foil cups aren't sealing. There's product spilling out over the line. What that individual can now do within the Augmentir application is create and submit a report right within the flow of work. So again, they're in an autonomous maintenance procedure to do a cleaning or an inspection or lubrication on that particular machine. Right within that flow of work, they can say, oh, there's a safety or a quality issue that I see, pops open a dialog box, allows them to submit that. That goes into ETQ automatically, creates a new quality event in ETQ Reliance. And then Angela, if you want to just kind of talk through what happens on the ETQ side of things.
Yeah, sure. So like you would normally see today, if you're familiar with the quality events application, it's an app that can basically put a staging area, I guess you could call it. So when the quality event comes in, you have an opportunity to investigate that report and kind of make a decision on whether you need to launch, a formal CAPA, or whether this is a situation where you can, do a little investigation, maybe create some action items around that, but it's, in the end, something that is just something we're going to watch, track, and trend. Keep a finger on the pulse of the data, and see down the line if it's something that needs to, have further exploration. But it kind of gives you that opportunity to make that assessment before launching into a formal CAPA or supplier corrective action or some other quality process. So it comes into that staging point. And so from this view within ETQ Reliance, it can guide you through the investigation process and say, you identify that there's something different about the glue composition, and so we know what we need to do to kind of temporarily keep the line moving, and we can create and assign action items through ETQ Reliance, which will then populate back into the Augmentir platform, and that will come right into the flow of work of the connected worker within the Augmentir interface. So we can send those instructions back, adjust the temperature of the machining, but to kind of resolve the issue for now. But that may have, and you can certainly speak more to this, Chris, if I'm missing anything, but that could by extension have an implication on the maintenance protocol for that machine. If it's running at a higher temperature, that may longer term create additional issues there. So that could be a whole other trigger a whole other set of workflows to manage that from the factory floor side. Back
Yeah,
on
that's
the
a great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just that's a great point exactly, because we often talk about the digital thread of the business and how a lot of these systems are connected: quality, maintenance, security, operations, and a change in one thing may impact other things. But far too often, and then certainly today, workers are not part of that digital thread, and so the activities that they do are not connected into that digital thread. And so if they are, in this case, changing the temperature by 10 degrees, that may have an impact on maintenance. But if it's in a disconnected system, that process of resolving the quality issue could have downstream maintenance effects or impacts. By having these connected, they're now all sort of tied together, and that can be reflected in potential maintenance changes to the maintenance routines.
Yep. So back on the ETQ Reliance side, where we have our quality manager handling this quality event, then the decision can, like I mentioned, to optionally launch a full CAPA process. It could be something at the supplier level where you would need to launch supplier corrective action, invoke the supplier portal capability to communicate the issue with the supplier, and those processes are kind of all automated and connected. There may be a non-conformance handling process you have in place, and that may be tied to communications to other sites. There's maybe an impact of this. If this particular glue has been shipped to many sites, you can kind of see the implication of that you would want to notify others of this issue, and make sure it's being resolved at a global level, versus the picture we painted earlier of being siloed, and maybe this information is kind of only staying in within one team or one line. So it really kind of opens up that visibility to all the stakeholders all the way up and down the line, and all of those, like I mentioned earlier, all of those interdependent processes. Anything else to add here, Chris? I feel like this is just it's simple yet very powerful. Oh, go ahead.
Really, yeah. No. So the one thing to just make a note of. So this closed loop system, right? So if a investigation is performed and a change or corrective action is identified, and those action items are sent down to the frontline worker. With a system like Augmentir, this gives you the ability to personalize those action items based on the skill level and the competency level of that worker. And so this ensures that even if you have a worker that might be less skilled potentially in performing that routine, that they're given the proper guidance, or they can be given the proper guidance. So those work instructions can be adjusted accordingly based on the competency and the skill level of that worker that's performing the routine. So it ensures that you're not giving a worker something that they're not able to do without the proper guidance and support.
Yeah. Yep. And in the end, it's all captured within your quality system of record, and you've got that kind of audit trail end to end of all these activities. Okay. All right. I think from here, I think you have some customer examples to share as well, Chris. So.
Yeah, so if you want to jump ahead to that slide. So, and this isn't just a vision. This is actually being put into practice, across the board today. I'll share 3 quick examples of companies using Augmentir and ETQ together to improve, quality and production efficiency. First, we have a joint customer that manufactures a range of power and energy products. These are, physical systems that help improve the power quality of electrical networks. They had been an ETQ customer for quite some time, and faced with many of the challenges that we shared above, disconnected frontline, manual, paper-based processes across the entire production line, from prepping to assembly to quality inspections. And so with this solution, they were able to digitize and optimize many of those production processes, again, from prepping, assembly, through the quality inspection, and create a closed loop system with ETQ, so that they are able to identify and resolve those quality issues much faster during the production process. Second example, consumer goods manufacturer. So they make a range of personal care, beauty care products that we all use every day. Quality obviously is paramount in companies like this, and again, similar challenges, and within months of implementing Augmentir, they were able to digitize over 1,000 digital workflows across 29, 30 plants across globally. And these are things like quality checklists, maintenance procedures, shift changeovers, shift change procedures, everything that may have aspects of quality and maintenance as part of those. Digitize those, resulting in 20 to 30 minutes saved per shift. And as much as 120 minutes reduced between like maintenance notification and maintenance order closure. So being able to really shorten the time it takes if there is an issue with a line going down, to resolve those issues much faster. And the third, food and beverage company, we kind of talked about this example earlier, packaged fruits and drinks, using Augmentir to detect quality issues relating to product seal and packaging, and resolve that on the line much closer to the point of production versus when product is coming out the door. So in all of these cases, these companies are digitizing and optimizing their quality workflows, reducing paper, reducing a lot of the manual based workflows that existed previously, being able to improve shop floor collaboration, even supplier collaboration in some cases, and overall with just a significant reduction in the cost of poor quality. So just giving you a couple examples there of this in action and in practice.
Yeah, great, thank you. Great success stories. It's a journey, but once it's all in place, great outcomes. We're seeing great outcomes. Okay, so I'm just keeping an eye on the time. I want to make sure we get to the questions. So I'm going to adjust on the fly here and kind of move quickly through my last couple of slides, and we'll get to the question part.
Great.
All right. So just wanted to mention quickly. We're here for you. ETQ and Augmentir are working very closely together on, as we start talking to organizations that are interested in this. we're working together very closely to go through that discovery process and really understand the use cases and how it might look, a solution like this might look for your organization. So just a reminder that we're with you along your entire quality journey as you kind of expand and accelerate your quality program and consider expanding into a connected worker solution. So please do reach out if you're ready to kind of have that conversation. And I'm just going to move quickly through these couple of slides. It was more for folks who, came along as a buddy with our quality champions who we already know. If there were people kind of maybe not so familiar with ETQ, but I think we'll skip that for today and get right to the question. So, next steps that I think we would recommend is, based on what you know now, kind of what you've learned about Augmentir, think about starting those conversations with other stakeholders. If you're one of those companies that identified with wanting to improve communication, or maybe it was non-existent communication, start thinking about, and we can help you with this. Like I said, once we kind of open a conversation, we can help with some guidance there on how to engage some of those other areas in manufacturing operations. And definitely reach out to your ETQ account team, or if you're not exactly sure who that is, drop a note to sales@etq.com and we'll get you to the right place. But definitely reach out and we can get a discussion scheduled and a demo, and you can learn more about this integration. So that's what we propose as next steps. And I think we have a few kind of questions coming through, so we can go ahead and jump into that. So, just kind of following on with, well, I think first so we mentioned, there may be other stakeholders that folks don't have, and this question will be for you, Chris. So that, there are people in the mix that we may not have, folks may not have a good line of communication, or maybe, full understanding of, other areas of the organization. Because I think, we mentioned manufacturing ops. With the training, there's also learning and development teams who have a stake in this. The IT folks as well certainly have a stake in deploying something like this. So what can you tell folks about how to approach those conversations and what to expect there?
Yeah, I think definitely talking with operations folks in the aspect of what technology is being used today on the shop floor for work that's being done from a maintenance standpoint, line operations standpoint, safety. So understand that level. From a learning and development standpoint, this has been there's been a very big push in HR and learning and development to implement connected worker solutions. And so there could be initiatives underway that you may or may not be aware of. And so understanding where that is, because they have a seat at the table, if you will. And then oftentimes this rolls up to IT, where they need to police and sort of broker the implementation of operational technology within the plants. And so they should have a seat at the table as well. But definitely there's value across the board here, and bringing those stakeholders in to share this information, I think is important as you look to organizational wide develop your connected worker strategy.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Chris. And what, you had mentioned those customer examples, and I'm sure there are many more out there. What are you typically seeing as the trend for deployment time? Like, how long does it take to kind of get up and running with Augmentir?
Yeah, so obviously it varies, and what many of our customers do, they start with a simple use case. It might be quality data collection, for example. That's a pretty simple use case where they know that they have paper-based forms or procedures that are doing some end-of-line quality inspections, for example, and then being able to digitize those and create those within Augmentir. We provide several tools that accelerate that process, whether it's importing PDFs as a starting point, and then creating those and making those into smart forms through the Augmentir authoring and procedure creation capabilities, or just providing, sort of no-code content creation tools that we have as sort of built into our product. We've seen companies within weeks have a use case digitized and implemented as part of a proof of concept, and then they can launch from there. Again, we have examples of companies that have digitized thousands of procedures within the first few months of implementing Augmentir. So it can be quick. Understanding though that many of you may have thousands or tens of thousands of procedures, if you will, across the board. Some of those have a higher initial ROI and initial impact, and so identifying which ones are high impact to start can be a way to prove out some use cases. But there's a lot of tools in place to take what you have in a non-digital format and create those within the Augmentir environment.
Yeah, a lot like getting started with digital QMS is low-hanging
exactly.
fruit. Just pick a project to.
And I think that's one of the biggest things is pick a project that's going to have some high impact, but not overkill. And again, digital quality data collection I think is a great starting point for a lot of companies.
Yeah. We have a couple of questions about just kind of like packaging, like what's needed to do this. So I'll start with addressing that. And if you have something to add, Chris, please do. But this integrated solution is what we've done is created a package connector, basically. So you would need obviously ETQ Reliance. You also need to license the quality events application because that's the initial use case. I think that was one of the other questions here. The initial use case is the integration we showed with the little workflow that we walk through with that quality events application, and then your licensing for the Augmentir platform. And from a customer perspective, all of that is through ETQ. So like I mentioned, we're working very closely with the Augmentir team in the sales and deployment process, but it would all be, you're basically working through ETQ for that, for the transaction part.
There's also some, I know we're running close on time, Angela, but there's some questions around supported devices and are all frontline workers expected to be logged into devices? I think I can just generally probably answer 2 or 3 of these questions all together. So Augmentir is supported on any iOS or Android device, and we're also supported on the RealWear industrial wearable headset as well for more hands-free operations. So there's a range of devices that companies use. Some tablets are better, some a mounted workstation is better if it's a computer-based workstation. So it really varies and really depends on your particular situation. Workers are expected to be securely logged into a device. That doesn't necessarily mean that they need an email address. They just need some ability to track that there's a specific individual user that is performing that particular routine. We have customers that have the concept of a workstation, where it's a shared workstation and handoff can happen, on a shared device. So that's certainly something that's supported. From a personalization of content standpoint, obviously you would need to know the individual worker if you were to personalize content based on their skills or capabilities. And so many of our customers have integrated into their single sign-on and enterprise security mechanisms. So this is just an extension of that security infrastructure that's part of what they're doing with Augmentir. And then overall, from an Augmentir standpoint, very permission-based, role-based, security system. And so people that are logged in at a certain level can see their jobs and only their jobs and interact in a way that's, at a line or worker level. Managers, operations managers can see obviously a broader view and have a little bit more control over building workflows or content managers building out procedures.
Great, thank you for that. And I think there was a couple other questions about kind of what, on the reliance side, the compatibility aspect. So um, out the gate, the integration package plays with Reliance NXG. We are doing or anticipating a kind of quick follow-on for folks who are on Reliance CG. A quick follow-on to support those deployments. So keep your eyes open. Don't let that stop you from starting the conversation, because that's a direction we're headed as well. And then kind of related to that, additional use cases. We're kind of out the gate. This kind of quality event reporting workflow is in play, but if there are other use cases, bring those to us. We'd love to talk to you. There's we've got a handful in our backlog that we're looking at related to training and documentation and audits and those types of things. So there's a lot of potential here. So we definitely want to talk to you about what your particular use case is, and it's not necessarily limited to just this one use case.
Right, exactly. And then I think it's just worth noting, there's some other questions that we're not able to get to. We should be able to follow up individually with you all on those questions and get you those answers as soon as we can here, to make sure that we're covering the bases or clarifying anything. And certainly if there's any other follow-on questions as you talk to folks within your organization, reach out to your contacts and we'll get those answered and addressed, or setting up a time to kind of go through the product and the integration.
Yep. Great. Well, we're 2 over, so not too bad. Thank you all, everyone, for participating today. Hope this was good information for you, and we definitely look forward to talking to you soon, with interest about this integration. And really, I think it's a really cool advancement for for the quality folks to have this additional kind of visibility into other areas of the organization. So it can make a real impact on your quality program. Thank you so much, Chris, for being here to support and share about Augmentir. And we'll, like you said, follow up with folks we couldn't quite get to all the answers, and to look forward to seeing you guys. All right, have a good day. Thanks.
Thank you all very much. Thanks.